In 1944, a German U-boat vanished here. No wreckage, no signal, no trace at all. Moments earlier, its final radio message sounded routine, until the transmission suddenly stopped mid-sentence. The last words typed from the crew offered no warning, only a fragment frozen in time. No distress call followed, no debris surfaced, and no oil slick appeared across these waters. This was U-869, a proven long-range U-boat expected to survive far worse. Her crew was disciplined, battle-tested, and highly trained, yet whatever struck them allowed no reaction. After U-869 left port, wartime records fell silent at once, leaving investigators a blank, unexplained gap. Its planned route ended abruptly on surviving charts, forming a disappearance that defied wartime logic. Whatever happened out here broke every wartime pattern, and today we uncover what the ocean hid. During the night watch, a crewman suddenly sensed something wrong, an unseen shift that froze him with a sharp, instinctive fear. Peering into the dark seas ahead, he struggled to pinpoint the cause, only sensing the ocean changing in ways he could not explain. Moments later, the U-boat lurched slightly off rhythm, a subtle deviation in its movement that suggested something shifting beneath the waves. Across the Atlantic, Germany's shrinking U-boat fleet faced rising losses, forcing each departing vessel into increasingly perilous, high-pressure missions. Allied destroyers patrolled relentlessly, launching depth charges at any hint of movement, turning every patrol into a deadly struggle for survival. When the crew embarked on their mission, spirits remained steady, though each man understood the mounting danger facing U-boat crews that late in the war. For a time, conditions appeared manageable, yet the shifting winds and uneasy silence around the vessel hinted that something was quietly building. Inside the control room, crewmen monitored instruments carefully, noting small inconsistencies that suggested the boat's systems were under unusual strain. Soon, steam valves resisted movement and pressure levels wavered, transforming minor technical issues into a chain of problems demanding immediate attention. As night deepened, red warning lights cast uneasy reflections across the hull, signaling that the unexplained irregularities were beginning to intensify. Hours later, Allied listening stations detected faint fragmented signals, brief transmissions fading quickly before analysts could determine their origin or meaning. The strange signals drifted unpredictably, sounding ghost-like and unstable, suggesting a source far outside any expected operational area. When commanders compared incoming reports, positions conflicted and timestamps disagreed, creating contradictions that made tracking U-869 nearly impossible. German U-boats typically followed strict routes, making these massive reported deviations unusually suspicious and difficult for analysts to explain. The captain of U-869 maintained an exceptional record, increasing confusion about why the submarine appeared linked to such inconsistent reports. The experienced crew operated with precision, deepening questions about what circumstances forced them off course so drastically. Each new message added contradictions, leaving investigators increasingly uncertain about the reliability of the wartime information available. One report placed U-869 near Gibraltar, while another positioned it far north, both from credible sources yet mutually impossible. Theories emerged rapidly: equipment failure, atmospheric interference, coded misdirection, yet none fully explained the widespread inconsistencies. Throughout the confusion, the ocean revealed nothing, offering no debris or confirmed sighting to clarify U-869's final location. Some Allied crews reported a brief explosion at sea, a sudden flash rising above heavy wave before disappearing instantly into the storm. Despite these reports, search teams found no debris or bodies, leaving the ocean empty and offering no confirmation of an actual sinking. Every plotted position contradicted the next, producing a tangled network of estimates that prevented analysts from narrowing the search. Rescue ships battled violent winter storms, scanning turbulent waters for clues, yet visibility collapsed and nothing identifiable appeared. Even high command analysts failed to determine U-869's final course, their calculations producing conflicting results without a clear solution. Sailors began questioning earlier reports, wondering whether misread signals or unexpected currents had pushed the submarine far off course. One theory suggested strong currents or emergency maneuvers forced U-869 into unfamiliar waters far beyond its assigned patrol area. But submarines rarely vanished completely, usually leaving evidence or signals, making U-869's total disappearance unusually difficult to explain. Investigators questioned survivors from other German submarines, yet none recalled encountering U-869, deepening the growing mystery around its fate. Wartime summaries labeled the sinking as probable, offering bureaucratic closure, yet the lack of evidence convinced few analysts. Decades later, a stray sonar contact revealed a submerged shape in waters no historian had associated with U-869. When divers examined the site, they confirmed the wreck belonged to a German submarine, lying far from all recorded patrol routes. The wreck's structural damage contradicted wartime accounts, showing patterns inconsistent with documented battle engagements or depth-charge strikes. Suddenly, wartime documents appeared incomplete, their assumptions weakened by physical evidence, revealing a more complex chain of events. The core question emerged: why had U-869 reached this remote location, contradicting decades of accepted naval operational history? This region endured heavy Allied depth-charge activity, leaving scars across the seafloor that complicated early assessments of the wreck. Official records indicated U-869 was never assigned near this area, making its presence here particularly unexpected and difficult to justify. Survivors from other submarines reported nothing unusual nearby, reinforcing confusion about how U-869 traveled so far from documented routes. Investigators realized the submarine's final days involved a complicated sequence of failures not reflected in surviving wartime reports. Inside the wreck, sudden structural collapse indicated a rapid emergency, a crisis unfolding faster than the crew could effectively respond. After the war, extensive searches uncovered no survivors or logs, leaving investigators with rumors and conflicting archival references. What remained were uneven documents, often contradictory and incomplete, forming a fragmented narrative built on limited wartime information. Analysts examined recovered materials, hoping chemical or structural clues might reveal details absent from official wartime documentation. A dedicated commission reviewed surviving reports, attempting to reconcile inconsistencies and establish a coherent timeline for U-869's disappearance. Yet the documents produced a story mismatched with physical evidence, challenging long-standing assumptions about the submarine's fate. Depth-charge strikes typically leave clear external signatures, including directional hull deformation, absent from U-869's wreck. The absence of such patterns contradicted theories of an Allied attack, raising doubts about long-accepted sinking explanations. Structural evidence indicated the catastrophic event originated internally, requiring investigators to reconsider earlier conclusions completely. Something unrecorded occurred, an event more complex than a simple engagement, hidden behind decades of incomplete reports. For years, the ocean concealed these final moments, preserving U-869's unanswered story beneath silent, undisturbed waters. Modern sonar produced detailed maps of the wreck, revealing structural features earlier investigators lacked the technology to observe accurately. Internal damage became clear, showing pressure deformation and collapsed bulkheads inconsistent with previously accepted explanations. Radio records indicated the crew attempted a final message, abruptly cut off as conditions deteriorated rapidly. Mechanical failure combined with severe weather, trapping the submarine before any assistance could reach its isolated location. Investigators then examined the most revealing compartment, where preserved details offered unprecedented insight into the crew's final struggle. In the control room, twisted equipment revealed frantic efforts to regain stability, their final actions frozen within the wreckage. Damaged emergency valves and deformed hand wheels indicated the crew fought pressure buildup until the very last moments. The hull breach displayed inward patterns, contradicting depth-charge theories and challenging long-held assumptions about the sinking. Collapsed frames and tangled wiring suggested cascading mechanical failure spreading across compartments, faster than the crew could respond. Deeper inside, untouched spaces preserved haunting stillness, freezing the submarine's final moments in an unchanging, silent environment. Piece by piece, investigators reconstructed U-869's final hours, producing a timeline drastically different from wartime expectations. A newly declassified report organized decades of scattered evidence, forming the first coherent timeline of U-869's final movements. It concluded the submarine drifted off course after mechanical failure, carried by strong currents into waters far from its planned route. The crew fought to save their vessel, battling pressure buildup and cascading failures that overwhelmed their remaining control. These were ordinary men performing routine duties until catastrophic events surpassed training, leaving them with impossible choices. The wreck's discovered position aligned closely with drift predictions, confirming the submarine's unintended journey during its final hours. A calm day marked the beginning, subtle faults growing unnoticed until they triggered an irreversible chain of failures. The final mystery was not the wreck's location, but why no vessel reported seeing U-869 again. Despite heavy wartime traffic, no verified sighting emerged, deepening uncertainty surrounding the submarine's disappearance. Ultimately, officials labeled the case unresolved, relying on probability rather than confirmed evidence to close the wartime record. But the sea remembers, preserving U-869's story in silence long after documentation faded. Today, the wreck site remains silent, disturbed only by slow currents and the occasional light from visiting research divers. Recovered artifacts and preserved documents offer limited glimpses into U-869's history, revealing fragments of a story still incomplete. Blueprints highlight the submarine's engineering strengths and weaknesses, influencing the chain of failures that shaped its final hours. They also reflect the crew's dedication, maintaining the vessel through difficult missions before confronting a crisis beyond their control. Where the ocean meets the horizon, the submarine's journey ends, its fate sealed far from familiar shores. A single corroded fragment returned to the surface serves as a solemn reminder of a chapter nearly lost to time. Memories fade, yet unanswered questions endure, waiting for those willing to examine the mystery surrounding U-869. If you found this story compelling, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Your support helps us continue uncovering forgotten chapters of history.